Google is a multinational tech giant founded in 1998 by Larry Page and Sergey Brin, whose power and grip over the internet got so strong that it became the internet. Maybe some of you heard about the wave of criticism surrounding Google, sex scandals, massive tax evasions, and others. But Google has also been accused of collaborating with the US Army and the CIA to spy on the civilian populations, and to be experimenting in artificial intelligence to a level that worries even the scientific community. And it doesn't stop there. So, how deep does the rabbit hole go? And how much is Google controlling society? Now, I'll tell you a story, and then a story that's a bit darker. When you hear the name and you picture those peaceful, colorful letters, you're probably thinking of the search engine, Gmail, Google Maps, and even YouTube. These are all essential services that improved the internet forever, and that's beyond doubt. However, one of the key elements of their strategy is to always keep a clean and innocent image, even when they're far from it. After all, for years their motto has been, "Don't be evil." You'll get the irony in a moment. It's the summer of 1995, and we are in Palo Alto, California. You're Sergey Brin, a computer scientist who migrated from the Soviet Union to the US with your family at the age of 6, and you're giving a tour of Stanford University to a group of new students. Among these students, you meet a young kid named Larry Page, who studied engineering at the University of Michigan. You two don't like each other, and both think the other one is arrogant. But that'll change. In fact, together, you start working on a project called Backrub. Backrub is aimed at changing how search engines worked, so that when you research for a specific web page, you'll get the most important results first, those that have more weight. Just like an academic paper that has more citations is more important than the others. So, what do? You accidentally shut down Stanford servers to test this new algorithm, called PageRank. And when you realize that it actually works, you choose a new name for the company. And on September 4th, 1998, you give birth to one of the most powerful companies in history, Google. So, you relocate in Menlo Park, in the garage of your friend Susan Wojcicki, who's now the CEO of YouTube. At first, you consider selling Google for $1 million to an internet company called Excite. But it fails because the price was too high for Excite. Nowadays, you probably wouldn't be able to buy a chair at Google for that price. So, you decide to go your own way and start expanding. And that's when things take a dark twist. You'll agree that data and information are the most valuable resources nowadays. Well, the Pentagon and the CIA believe so, and that's why, in the early 2000s, they took interest in a company called Keyhole. Keyhole was based in San Francisco, and its main focus was the idea of creating a 3D virtual model of the world. Basically, by sticking together aerial photography, maps, and satellite images, they aimed at using video game technology to allow users to navigate the world in a virtual reality setting. And who took interest in Keyhole? The CIA, naturally. As revealed by an investigation of the newspaper The Guardian, the CIA saw the enormous potential of having eyes all over the world, in every street, in every corner. Already in the 60s, during the Cold War against the Soviet Union, they developed a series of spy satellites, interestingly called Keyhole as well. For those of you who don't know, the CIA has a Silicon Valley venture capital fund called In-Q-Tel, whose objective is to keep the agency equipped with the latest technology. So, through this fund, In-Q-Tel, they injected money into Keyhole and started funding its research massively. This new technology was developed quickly and proved to be extremely effective already during the Iraqi war against Saddam Hussein. The US commanders were shocked by how easy it was to instantly trace every movement of every civilian or soldier on the ground. And who bought Keyhole in 2004? You guessed right, Google did. In fact, Brin and Page saw the potential and snatched Keyhole for themselves, bringing the CIA people in. Of course, today, you might know it under another name, Google Earth. Now think, a company that has the most powerful search engine so that they know everything you ever searched for, that owns Gmail, currently used by over 1.5 billion users, that has its hands on video contents by owning YouTube since 2006, that owns Android, a company that has more data on people than anybody else, now works with the CIA. This way, Google became a regular client of the US government and the Pentagon. For example, establishing a database for the CIA, the NSA, and the FBI called Intellipedia. But you might not know that in 2010, Google officially became the only source of geo-visualization services for the Combat Support Branch of the US Department of Defense, called the National Geospatial Intelligence Agency, NGA. Google and the NGA teamed up and are so tight that Google was actually the only company that was allowed by the government to even bid on this project. But that's not the end of it. In 2014, Google purchased DeepMind, a cutting-edge company that is more advanced than any other in the field of artificial intelligence. We talked about AI in our previous video about Boston Dynamics and robots, which, interestingly enough, was also owned by Google with the involvement of the Pentagon. AI is a field that might revolutionize our lives in many positive ways. But the rapid advancement in the field caused fear and concerns in the scientific community, including people like Stephen Hawking, Noam Chomsky, and Bill Gates. Many top scientists asked the governments to consider the ethical implications as well as dangers of AI. On this matter, Google DeepMind is so advanced that Elon Musk publicly stated that this company is his top concern for the future. In fact, AI systems that become complex enough to be able to evolve and learn will also become more efficient in reaching their goals, and humans might one day stand in their way. This is even more worrying if you consider that Google clearly doesn't put users' privacy as their top priority, as once confirmed by their former CEO Eric Schmidt, who said that Google's objective is to tell you what you want and what to do next. Now, of course, there are several other companies that engage in all these practices, but the issue is that these companies are almost untouchable. In fact, similarly to what the oil and tobacco industries did in the past, Google has been accused of giving millions of dollars to leading academics to produce papers that would protect Google's interests and policies. Why? Because the company's market dominance is frequently under scrutiny on different matters, especially antitrust accusations of monopoly, as well as several copyright law and privacy violations. Now, Google has strong relationships with many of the top universities in the US, like Harvard and Berkeley, and an investigation made by the Wall Street Journal has found that between 2005 and 2017, Google financed several hundred papers, paying sums that vary from $5,000 to $400,000. The target of these funds were generally high-end academics, and the company allegedly pays travel expenses for professors to meet with congressional aides and administration officials. Then, this research is used to protect the company against, for example, the FTC, the Congress, or the European authorities. So, going back to the first question, how deep does the rabbit hole go? It's deep. And their motto, "Don't be evil," has never been more important.